So the Kraken. Thank you, Jane Driscoll, for that lead about the new subvariant that's going to be, or that's already circulating. I mean, last night I felt the frequencies. I even felt my digestive system feel a little weird. My dog was energetic last night. I woke up in pain, like hands in pain. Not too much my legs anymore because I'm now finally conditioned for the environment with my legs and with the repetitive motion that I'm doing. But it's the hands that are really going through its evolution and pushing out the damaged cells. So yeah, you hold the Kraken within. Kraken. That's really called Kraken, not Kraken. And my book, Another Arm of the Hydra, is basically a Kraken. Okay, octopuses, squids, jellyfish, even crabs, all of us, we're some form of a hydra. We have been converted to a very specific looking hydra. Human hydra, animal hydra, or dog hydra, cat hydra, whatever. We all have those, we all have some form of those types of converted formulas, I guess, in our body. And so when they are talking about another subvariant, now it's not untrue, it's not a lie that there are these variants that are traveling through the population. We all hold it within. We are the COVID-19. We are Hydra. We are the Kraken. We have different forms of it and different, numbers of them in our body. But this last summer, I was getting rid of a lot of the Kraken in my body, all the different subvariants that would have probably come out if I hadn't opened my system. They would have been woken up by these frequencies. So what do I mean by these frequencies? These were in climate change, and different frequencies have different megahertz, kilohertz, all the different hertzes that are waking up people's Hydra, Kraken, predisposed issues, disease, cancer. Even my dog has Kraken in her little cyst that she has to deal with. You can't attack that Kraken in her body or she would pass away. And so I have to keep feeding both her and it. And it's a trip to actually figure out that is your spirit animal, that when you attack your spirit animal, it will rebel against you. It will teach you a lesson when you attack your own Kraken in your body. And so you have to release the Kraken, or else the Kraken is going to age you exponentially. And when people are weighing less than nothing in our society, and they're going through another Hydra, another energy, another Kraken conversion, you better have some reserves on hand so you can handle that energy conversion, that thermodynamics, that whole, conversion process. And so, I'm now getting ahead of the game a little bit with my dog. Meaning like I've figured out that, okay, I got to soak her little cyst in salt water so that way it can help bring the pus and everything through the lymphatic system and maybe help it, come out too as well. And also feed her. And if she has to pee and she gets off the bed to pee, she doesn't pee in the bed anymore. She now actually throws herself off her little poo thing and throws herself off the bed. Not literally throw, but she purposely makes herself get up and get off the bed to go to the bathroom. And sometimes she makes it, sometimes she doesn't. So that's why I'm going to be steam cleaning my carpets because, and I was actually using laundry detergent to clean the carpets today because it was like, oh my God, smelly. But I have an animal that I am trying to finally give her the best life after she has to deal with the sins of the father. She's paying for the sins of the father right now. And I don't envy anyone having to pay for the sins of their genetic line because it is energetic. It is, oh my gosh. And so yeah, the different storms is the algorithms. That's when they said we're going into climate change, they weren't kidding. Okay, they politicize it, of course, but they weren't kidding. We're in climate change. And so you hold the Kraken within. And Kraken is the latest variant of COVID-19, but expect more mutations. The new subvariant of Omicron is close to taking over as the most prevalent form of COVID in the U.S. Well, if we're in, let's say we're in a 5G or a 6G, and maybe 6G is the same thing as Omicron, then that continuous frequency is going to work on those who have those specific hydra in their body. I don't say specific, they have hydra in their body, and that frequency is bringing up stuff. And so that frequency is bringing up those specific variants in the body, which then I'm sure hold a biomarker that when it's infected, it's because that's the current frequency in the environment. Okay, so when someone's continuously dealing with an infection, so I could say my dog is dealing with some kind of frequency that would then be probably construed as COVID on some level, an Omicron, until she releases that. And then when she releases that, and let's say that another colony is in her body, and then that was brought up by another frequency, then they can call that the Kraken. Okay, and so every single time your body goes through this waking up process because of the frequencies, that waking up process has a frequency called Omicron, Delta, Kraken, BA1, BA2, whatever you want to call it. Right, so like I said, when we were studying John, remember John, we were studying all the Greek mythology and Greek history and all the giants and Sumerian pantheon and all that, and we're like, oh, this is folklore, and I'm like, no, it's real. But maybe it's real at the micro level, and maybe it was real at the macro level. We don't know, but we speculate that there were giants of the past. We speculate that that big monument over there in Wyoming that looks like a chopped down tree was actually a tree that, you know, was like way out there in the sky, okay, or as tall as past the sky that we can see. And so, yeah, so nothing is not real. It's just another simulation, another energy conversion, another environment of which we are experiencing right now. And so the Kraken, the derivative or the background of the Kraken, if you want to now go into allegory, is originating in Scandinavian folklore. The Kraken is usually depicted as an aggressive cephalopod, basically Hydra, like creature capable of destroying entire ships or humans and dragging sailors to their doom. And then you can look at the sea nymphs, the sirens, and the Iliad and the Odyssey, and they were dragging the sailors down into the depths by charming them with their good looks and their breasts and all that stuff. And so, yeah, sea monsters and their inspiration, serpents, mermaids, the Kraken, and probably sirens and, you know, all that, and cephalopods. And so anyways, and so you hold the Kraken within, and nothing is not real. It's just a different truth. Okay? There is no lie, so to speak. There's a different truth. Even when people have it in their head that someone did something or someone is doing something, and even though it's not really happening, but that's their truth, and you can't talk them out of it, or they're being purposely deceptive by either saying something that you did something, but obviously if they said that you did something and they weren't there, then that's their truth in their head, that they think you did something. And even though they weren't there, you can't argue with them because that's their truth. And you can call it lying. I guess you can call it lying, but why would somebody lie unless they're trying to make you look like something that they already think you are based upon other examples that they don't like? And so if they embellish the truth and that they think that gets their point across, but in reality, it takes a person, the receiver, to either be like, okay, this person has a vendetta and a personal issue, or this person actually met the person and can't even see that happening. But no matter what, nobody can prove anything as far as what someone is doing intentionally or unintentionally. You just have to have all the versions of the truth and just pick which one that makes the most sense to you, and then just stick with it. And it could conflict with somebody else, but who cares? No matter what, either you've seen it or you don't see it, you feel it or you don't feel it, but then how you characterize how you see things and how you characterize how you feel things is then also another truth. And that's where we have the whole Tower of Babel, because there is no proof per se. You just keep continuing to live. How you live and what you think is going to happen in the future is all relative to speculation, perception, and politics, religion, and scientific dogmas. And let me tell you, that took me 6 years to figure out, because I couldn't figure out how I would explain that you can't just listen to one mainstream outlet news. You can't just watch NBC, ABC, and CBS You can't just listen to InfoWars. You can't just listen to one blog site. You got to listen to everything and then understand everyone's intentions, and then realize that everyone has different intentions and they all have relevant truths. It's just relative to your intention. If you intend to pass away, then yes, please go to the medical holistic system and get all your surgeries and whatever, and do whatever you got to do if you intend to die. And if the environment causes your death to happen prematurely sooner than you expect, then you have no room to complain and blame anyone out there for your misfortune, because you believe that people should die and yourself should die, and you took part in the medical holistic and all that system, and you're not taking into account the frequencies, and the environment is changing, and so what you expect is going to be realized that much quicker. And so yeah, the Rosicrucians were very strategic. They have so much esoteric knowledge on how humans operate and how easy it is to manipulate humans that only look at one truth. They have this shit in the bag. It's going to take an educated person who isn't like completely scholarly educated, that's willing to listen to other truths out there, to finally step away from the war and watch everyone fight amongst themselves, voting for their favorite person or trying to convert people to their religion, their politics, and their science. And so educated people know all the truths, all the arguments, and then they can pick and choose which ones will, that will work with them in their intention. And that's the beauty of the JJ world, is that you can evolve, you can change, you can pick whatever truth you want, and it would still be true because it's backed in science, because energy can't be created or destroyed, only converted. Only converted. So anything can convert to anything if it has the environment to do it. Okay? And so that's the thing. So that's why we can't say that things in the past didn't happen or did happen. I mean, there's a possibility because the environment could have changed. If we have huge machinery that can be like a global HVAC, and accelerate the particles, and then we have all this geothermal positioning systems, and we have Wi-Fi and cell towers and satellites and all that stuff. Yeah, you can develop any kind of environment. You can have a satellite transmitting certain megahertz, kilohertz to like one longitude, latitude, what is it? The one aspect of the longitude, latitude on Earth. I forget what you call that. But you can have this part of Earth have a higher frequency, and you have like dinosaurs, right? So then you have a frequency, it's a higher frequency, and you have a lot of food. Of course, you have a lot of food, and then you have dinosaurs over here, but the dinosaurs try to leave their place and go somewhere else. They can't handle that frequency, and so they pass away, but they're probably going to be causing destruction. So I could see how satellites and all the Star Wars out there can develop so many different civilizations, and also cause storms here and disease here and species, really, just unique species over here based upon, the sun, the weather, and all that. I mean, there's so much to think about, and how you can develop and convert atmospheres and then biodiversity. And so, what do they call that? Latitude, I don't really know all the verbiage to the latitude, longitude, distance, celestial latitude. Okay. Oh yeah, 51 degrees north. Okay, so the different degrees of latitude and degrees of longitude, that's how you say it. Okay, so yeah, because degrees of latitude and longitude are based upon just where they are, on that celestial equator and all that. And so it's expressed in degrees and in minutes. Okay, so that's something new for me to talk about too, because yeah, when you look at how the Earth is cut up in grids or separated by grids through latitude and longitude, then you have the GPS, the global geothermal positioning systems, then can go in and develop different types of atmosphere. So that's probably why certain parts of England don't have so much aggressive, like wherever the princess and the king and queen of England, they're going through their aging process, but are they getting the crazy ass shit that we're getting over here in Ohio and California and all that? No, but some parts of England do get it. And so, yeah, they know where most of the populace are and where the movers and shakers and the support system, like the government workers, where they are. And so while the government workers are going through their specific lifespan, like in Sacramento or in like Cleveland or Columbus, not Cleveland, but Columbus, which is the capital of Ohio, then, they'll go through their stuff, but they may not go through so many power outages or so much of the Hunger Games, okay? But they still go through the medical holistic. And so the system will still manage their disease until the government workers are converting themselves out of existence, and then a new flock of people come in and take their place. And that's how a controlled society works. And so then you have places that are in the hinterlands, like way out there, like in the rural areas, that are getting hit by frequencies and power outages and all that stuff, that are living, kind of like a third world status, because their lights are going out, their water is tainted, and they're getting floods and blizzards, and they're cut off from society because they live so way far out. So living so far out away from society isn't necessarily going to be to your benefit. And so you have to understand how, if you're going to live, on the grid near the epicenter of energy, you should learn how to convert that energy and survive that energy, because either way you're going to be fucked if you can't survive it. And I wouldn't want to live in a third world status in the middle of nowhere. I know my husband's like, oh, we should get a house in the middle of nowhere and have our own little... I'm like, fuck no, because once the storm comes through, whether it's a blizzard or a tornado or some kind of power outage, we're screwed. We're cut off from society. And so me being here in the actual, in the city limits, and I'm around a lot of people, yeah, but I haven't had a power outage at all, knock on wood. Okay? I haven't had a power outage. I think I could probably count on my hands, maybe once or twice in the last couple of years, I've had a power outage here. I've had a power outage over where I used to live, but it was very minimal, but not enough for me to be like, oh my gosh. Okay, so living in the epicenter of the energy centers is not a bad thing if you understand how to keep up with the energy conversion. Okay, with all the Wi-Fi and everything else. And so even if you're not in the epicenter and you're out there in the hinterlands, you got to deal with the storms and the floods and the power outages and all of that. And I don't want to be out in the middle of fucking nowhere. I really don't. I mean, it's nice. It's cool to have like nice big forest behind you, and that's great. But with all this climate change, it's not going to be to your benefit when the forest is taken out by a big, huge flash flood or by a tornado or by a blizzard, and you can't even drive in or out. And so you're stuck where you are. I mean, look at people in Buffalo. They're stuck in their homes unless somebody goes and digs them out. So that's kind of crazy. I wouldn't live in Buffalo. Could Ohio have something as aggressive as Buffalo or stuff in the South? I mean, Ohio has in the South, but where I'm at in the Northeast, it's kind of like a nice little insulated pocket that does get some weather, but it's been pretty mild, though I have packed for tornadoes before, thinking I'm going to have to go and hike out of my house, but it hasn't happened like that, okay? And so, so you have to keep strategizing how you're going to adapt to your current environment, and that simply living off grid out there isn't going to always be the best thing. Okay, I don't want to go back to a caveman day. I really don't. I like my internet. I like my electricity. I like my warmth. I like having food for my dog and myself. I like having the creature comforts, and I'm not needing or wanting so much. It's just pretty nice the way I have it. I'm luckier than half the world out there. And I don't have a Tesla or, a 10,000 square foot house, but I have control over my biorhythms. I have control over my body. I know my dog's going to be okay as long as I keep feeding her and keeping her nice and calm. And that's all I could ask for, is that people and the things that I love are doing okay. The things that I respect are doing okay. And they have to go through their own suffering of evolution, and that's to be expected when we have abused our bodies through the medical and the holistic system for such a long time. We got to pay back the piper. And I'm willing to take my punishment for whatever I did to my body because I didn't know any better, because I gave myself to authority, to somebody else. Because when you think about it, anyone that's licensed has a license to destroy. And so if you're seeing a naturopathic, if you're promoting naturopathic and homeopathic and energy healing people and nutritionists, then you are basically giving somebody a death sentence. And so now it's time for you either to figure out yourself how to stay alive and be a representation to other people, or you just keep giving your friends and family to a licensed professional who will then take them down systematically. And then you can't say you're saving your friends and family when you're constantly promoting your friends who are licensed professionals to take them down professionally. That's why I get kind of annoyed at some of my JJ crowd when they are still promoting their holistic friends and family, because they don't realize they're basically destroying their friends and family. And so instead of you being a representation that you can handle breakthrough infection by feeding and pulling out the programming and saying, I can handle all this and it's not that bad. It's not about love, love, love and all that shit. It's about, hey, can you survive when climate changes? And then people can see, oh, wow, Kirsten can survive. John can survive through climate change, through all their predisposed issues. Jillian can survive all of her predisposed issues and all the crap and flack that people throw at me. And she doesn't have to have thoughts and prayers. She doesn't need a GoFundMe account. She doesn't need anyone to give her support. No, I don't tell you guys to give me a great review. Remember, I haven't asked anyone to give me any reviews. I don't need your reviews. The information will speak for itself or it won't. I don't even need you guys to buy the books. If you do, that's great. Okay? I don't need anyone's thoughts and prayers. I don't need anyone praying for me. I don't need anyone to support me with money. Okay? Because I can basically take care of myself. My information will speak for itself. And if you can afford $5, great, thanks. I'll get $2 out of that $5. I appreciate it. And if you like the book, great. I'll get maybe like $5 or $6 from the book. So I get a 1/3, or no, I get 1/4. 1/3. So whatever 1/3 of $20 is what I get. Okay. And I'll get 50%, maybe it's $2.50 from $5 or $3 from an ebook. That's fine, because I plan to have this on the market forever. So you do what you want with it, and then I'll keep writing, and people will either do it or not do it, and they'll either see value in it, and whatever, or they won't. And and I don't need anyone's thoughts and prayers on this. I don't need anyone I don't need anything out there except for whatever I need to do to take care of myself. Okay? And so that's what I represent. That's who I represent. That's why I don't contribute a GoFundMe account or any of those things out there. Because at some point, you're going to have to suffer from the consequences of your own hand at whatever it is that happened. Okay? And if you own a house, and you have to make sure that your electricity, I have Ting. Ting is where you plug this thing in that's attached to your internet that reads any power surges in the house. So it can alert you that there could be a potential fire. And Ting also, assume State Farm, my insurance company, tells you that certain appliances have been recalled, and that could also start a fire in your home. And so, you have good insurance, good maintenance to your house, to your home, to whatever, to your cars, to yourself, then you wouldn't necessarily would be, devastated from something traumatic that was unforeseen. I mean, we know shit happens, but there's a lot of things that you can do to mitigate potential disaster if you just listen to the professionals who understand about homes and insurance. But when it comes to your body, well, you have to figure that one out. But when it comes to things like I don't know about my house and electricity, I will go to a professional. I know when I can't do everything myself. See, that's the thing, is when knowing your boundaries. And if you can't deal with yourself and your body, fine, then give yourself to the medical holistic and have a very predictable outcome. But if I'm saying, hey, all you gotta do is pull out the poop and feed your body and deal with the symptoms, and sometimes it's energetic, and feed and eat and rest, that's pretty cut and dry. That doesn't require too many things. But then, of course, people are like, oh, what happens when I get a heart attack? Okay, You feed it. You know, when people get heart attacks, it's usually because they preempt it or their body's at the last point almost. And they're telling them, well, we're trying to push through jetsam and flotsam. And when someone dies from it, it's because they had many indicators they ignored, or they were starving and they had predisposed issues and there were indicators. And so they don't survive the heart attacks. But if you survive a heart attack, it's because it's telling you it's trying to push through all this crazy ass antigen antibody programming that's caught in your blood vessels that's causing the body to have blockages, causing a heart attack, because the energy had to push that shit through, just like a defibrillator, getting you back online. Okay? And so then when you survive a heart attack, you just what do? You just eat food and you pull out the programming and clear the pipes, so that way your body has a place to release that shit, literally. But what people do when they get heart attacks, they go to the fucking doctor and get more operations and go under more trauma. And they get all this low blood pressure medicine or high blood pressure medicine and all these different medicines and go under the knife, and they're like, oh yeah, we're going to go and do this and this and this. And I'm just like, oh my God. The heart attack is saying that you have so much crap in your fucking bloodstream from all of your practices, and your digestive and alimentary canal has been also vasoconstricted. Maybe it's time for you to open up your airways and open up your arteries and capillaries and your alimentary canal and release the fucking demons so they don't fucking make you feel this energy all the time, and repair the damage. Oh no, people are like, oh no, I can't do that. I don't know how to do that. I'm afraid I'm going to die. If you were going to die, if you were meant to die, you would have died from that first heart attack. But that heart attack was an indicator letting you know that you have fucking crap in your system. You have jetsam and flotsam, and you have so much antigen antibody programming. You have so much crap in your blood, and you lack electrolytes, and you lack all the food in the food supply. You lack salt, sodium chloride. And so heart attack victims, who are also diabetic too, are on low sodium diets. So then when the frequency is raised and they have so much crap in their body, so much Kraken that are damaged, and then the energy comes in and tries to push everything through, and they don't have what it takes, people don't wake up. When you've had so many heart attacks and you've survived them, how do you know you're not going to survive the next one? You don't. Because you've ignored all the indicators and you went under the knife, under the trauma, and did all this stuff. And so that's what's going on with people. They're being taken down systematically by the medical and the holistic system. And then they have the gall to be like, oh, you're not VED, you're going to spread disease. Oh, I'm sorry, but you're the one that holds the disease within that you're not willing to release, because you keep giving your body away to science. So they can go and take your proteins and then innovate the next generation of suffering for somebody else who doesn't understand. Come on. Biotech is not benevolent. The medical system is not benevolent. That's why insurance is so fucking high. That's why all of the procedures, unless you have insurance, they are thousands and thousands of dollars. My husband went to the hospital, to the emergency room, because he thought he had a heart attack, but no, he had some kind of indigestion that really made him pass out back in 2019, September of 2019. Or no, was it 2020? And it was $1,000. Actually, it was $2,000, and then they gave us a discount for whatever reason. So his visit without insurance, because we don't have medical insurance, was $1,000 we paid out of pocket, and we paid it. Okay, so, and that was just a test to see if he had a heart attack, testing to see if there's any heart attack enzymes, and there was none. And so they're just like, well, and that was the brink of COVID. That was in 2020 of September. Okay, so he had to go through an upgrade through the changes of the environment. But yeah, it's expensive. The medical industry is expensive because they're experimenting on you every single day. And they're doing experimental things on you with machines that cost thousands and thousands and thousands and millions of dollars. And you're being under the care of people. And they cost millions and millions and millions of dollars. And so yeah, medical, when you actually put yourself in the medical holistic system, it's fucking expensive. Because it has to be. And so how do you save yourself money? You learn how to deal with your own bullshit. And you teach your kids how to do that too, or else they're going to be going down the ship with everybody else. So anyways, the Kraken is in you. You are the Kraken, and you have little beta hydra colony forming units in your body that when the frequencies shift and they woke up, like they woke up in my dog in November, I'm telling you, my dog was kind of declining because of the frequencies, and I didn't realize I had to give her different food. But then a different frequency happened in November. That's when the beast, her predisposed issue from way back when, woke up. And that beast we are now dealing with right now. And some of you are going to have to deal with the beast within that hasn't woken up yet, but give it time. If you haven't felt like I felt a couple months back, and I am this type O, okay? And we all have some kind of medical trauma in our past. We all have some kind of holistic trauma in our past. And we all have some predisposed issues from our parents, okay? You're going to feel the beast, and you're going to be so angry once you recover from that. Oh, you will be angry because you realize what gave you that beast. It was the medical holistic system that made the beast stronger because they trapped those beasts within you and they took out your potential evolution. And so, yeah, that's why I was so angry last summer. It came out in such an aggressive way. And so, yeah, so if you're not angry right now, you haven't felt the demons. If you're not angry like I was, and then when you're angry and it subsides, you realize, okay, yeah, the world is not going to survive this. Many people in the world are not going to survive this. Then you take yourself out of the politics, out of the religion, out of the scientific dogmas. And you realize you can't save anything but yourself. And some of you can't afford to be down. And so you're trying to ride the line. Or hold the line. Until your body just gives out. Until the frequencies are too much for your body to handle. That you don't survive. You don't wake up one morning. And some of you are in that position. And you realize that you can't afford to be angry and feel your predisposed issues. You can't afford to because you have developed a life where everyone depends upon you. And when you develop a life where everyone depends upon you, you will be the sacrificial lamb. And that's what happens when you want to be the savior to your children and give them everything. That's what happens when you want to be savior to your friends and family and be the one to be there for everybody else. That's what you get. Oh, believe me, they will suck the life out of you and they will not give you room to be down for anything. They're like, oh no, you're down. We got to give you back to the medical system so they can go take something out. So you come back in the game and keep feeding us and keep doing this for us and do that for us and do everything for us until you have no more organs left to go and give. That's what you get when you when you profess yourself to be a savior to your children, a savior to your friends and family, and a savior to your business. You have to learn how to delegate responsibility so you can take time for yourself and cut down material expectations. So that way you're not a slave to somebody else's wants and needs. Because I know if my husband had it his way, I would be supporting a bigger boat for him. Fuck that. Fuck that. Right now I'm doing what I need to do. Get these books out, get this information out, and then whatever revenue I make on this book will go to my next book. After that, will then go to whatever we have with our house. I will put money into this house, but not to another fucking bauble, not to another freaking whatever. Whatever money I give to anyone in my family with my husband and I, it would be towards our house, food, and something to keep him alive, not something that's going to take away life force from him. And that's how I figured that out. My mom, I know, she said she only give money to us when we were younger. I mean, I know she lent me $200 one time because I had to get across America. But she says the only thing that she'll ever give for us for free was for medical attention. It's like, if you ever need medical attention, that's the only time I'll ever, I'm like, great. I ain't keeping me alive. And so everyone has their priorities, yes. But, yeah, the only money I would give to somebody is to support them supporting themselves into life, not into death. And so, that's why I don't spend too much money except to keep my dog alive, which is really not that much money. It's just now getting into a new routine with the food. I mean, I have her bed, and I have her bottles for feeding, and I have the food that I need for her, the milk, and she won't need too many of that, the vet RX supplement stuff. That she doesn't need. That was when I needed to power feed her and get much fat into her. But I can use like whipped cream if I need to, or half and half to mix with her high protein pedigree food, and then adding in some of the fruits and vegetables and some carbs. In the blender, and that's how she'll get the massive amounts of nutrition. And now it's just maintaining both her and the cyst until she conquers that cyst. And it's going to take some time. But she is going through what all of you are going to be eventually going through, because she had high trauma to her body from that operation. That's why that cyst is there. Because she had some kind of little tumor that could have disappeared if they would have dealt with it correctly to begin with. But no, she went under mass amounts of trauma of an operation. And so that cyst is there. That's the demon from the operation. So think twice before you put yourself under a medical system. Because once you want to become whole again, it will be a fucking hell. It will be Dante's Inferno. It will be fucking hell. It's survivable. It's not so horrible, but some of you have gone under the knife for many different reasons. And yeah, you're going to have to revisit that. My dog is revisiting it. Like I said, when you cut something off, it regrows. But he cut off, someone lost their arm. How come they didn't regrow? Because they're on fucking painkillers and anti-inflammatories. Oh, but the person who has a limb and an arm or something removed or was taken off for whatever reason, they feel the phantom pains. Oh, they do. They're probably in pain every day of their fucking life. It's manageable. People probably are on smoking pot. When they're missing an arm and a leg, or they find ways to alleviate the pain through endorphins, through their medication, through their anti-inflammatories, painkillers. That's why they're not regrowing their arms and their legs. The people who have gotten organs removed, I'm sure they have grown back, but they didn't know it because they had no reason to go and test to see if it was there or not. Like appendixes. I don't know if people have regrown back their tonsils that were taken out. If they did, they probably would have felt the pain and probably would have taken an anti-inflammatory to stop it, and then they would have stopped the growth. So, yeah, I would think twice. If you want to become whole again, I would think twice before you see anyone in the medical holistic system. And if you have to see someone in the medical holistic system, you better hope it's not something so traumatic. Because even getting off the drugs that are given to you in the medical holistic system is traumatic. Weaning yourself off of psychedelics or weaning yourself off of SSRIs, weaning yourself off of antidepressants, weaning yourself off of benzos, weaning yourself off of any of those crazy drugs in the medical and even in the holistic system. It's going to be a fight, and it's miserable. It's like getting off of addictions. That's why I say think twice. If you want to become whole again in the JJ world, think twice before you compound the issue. Yeah, you might be already on a string of drugs right now. Yeah, you may have had an operation last year. But as soon as you keep going to the medical holistic system right now, you're compounding the issue. There's no fucking way you're going to be able to understand the JJ world. There's no fucking way. Not in this environment. Maybe you might have had a chance if you hadn't kept compounding your issues with the medical holistic. But in this environment, it's so aggressive, and now you are a savior to your kids, a savior to your friends and family. You can't afford to be down for this long, for however long you need to be down to actually recoup the life that was taken from you systematically from the medical holistic system. And that's what people are facing, is they realize they've painted themselves in a fucking corner because they couldn't change when they were presented the information at the time. And so then that's why people don't like me. Because in their mind, they can't do what I'm doing. In their mind, they're too far gone. And so if they can't do it, no one else should. And that's the world that we live in. If something happened to them and they think that water is poison and air is poison and food is poison, then they tell everybody, oh yeah, the air, water, and food is poison. Don't breathe, don't eat, and don't drink water. And you see that all over Facebook. Oh my God. When they think the V's did something to them, which probably did, but it doesn't mean they're poison. It means that they were over capacity and they couldn't handle the innovation. They couldn't handle the new bacteria that was a direct immunity. But, my husband took on a tetanus shot and he was fine. So he's not talking smack about tetanus shots. But those that couldn't handle the last straw that broke the camel's back are going to say everything is poison to whatever broke the camel's back to them at that point in time. That's the psychological operations we're under right now. And so you have kids and people starving themselves, aging aggressively, and they're upset at the world. As well they should be. They've allowed their politics, their religion, and their scientific dogmas to cannibalize them. And if they were to change, it would mean a fight between their kids, between their friends, their family, their occupation, and they don't have it within them. And so it's easier just to succumb to being cannibalized by their environment than to actually fight to live. People are fighting to die right now. And that's why it's so sad in the JJ world, watching people fight to die. It's crazy. It is freaking crazy. I couldn't make this up. You can't make this up. This is reality. This is reality. And some people are at home all the time and they have the chance to do this type of thing and they don't. They don't have any kids around them. They don't even have a demanding husband or wife around them. Their friends and family kind of know they're in the JJ world, and so they kind of leave them alone and let them do their thing, and they're still not even understanding this. They have squandered an opportunity. This is a missed opportunity for those that have the actual situation to deal with their bullshit. And some of you have help. You have friends and family that you can give your kids to when you're feeling down or feeling out of sorts. Some of your kids are actually self-sufficient, that they don't need as much attention from you. That if everything's relatively maintained well, and the house is nice and clean and everything else, and then you can go and take a nap, Mom, and your kids can play nicely in the other room. Watch TV, watch their video games, do whatever the fuck that people do, And the kids are okay. They're resilient and they're self-sufficient, and so Mom can go and save herself. And so Dad can go and save himself. Some of you have great husbands and wives that they allow you the time off to go and save yourself and rest. They're not demanding shit from you left and right. It's when those that are so needy are demanding shit from you that they won't allow you to rest. They won't allow you to save yourself. They want you to keep working for them until there's nothing fucking left. That's why friends and family would be the first ones to take you down. Because of their needs, their wants, their desires, and they have no regard for anyone but themselves. It's all about what they want, what they need, and that's it. And I was that way too. And so now I'm finally on my own. My husband's the only one that, that I don't even ask too much from him. I tell him, honey, if you scale down your lifestyle, you don't have to work. You won't have to work as much. But he wants to be a professional bass fisherman while he's doing the trucking. And I think that's fine. That's great. That's his desire. I support it. If he can afford it, I support it. If he can't afford it, I don't support it. But he can afford it. Just like I can afford doing what I'm doing. I I developed a protocol. I sold my car that they bought me. My husband bought me. Him and his friend found a car for me way back when I was trying to drum up money to publish a book. So I took the car that they gave me. They bought for me for like $3,000. $3,000. And I gave it to my publisher. And so then when I published my next book, yeah. I used money that I made from that. Well, I didn't really make money from that, but I published my book. That was like $1,000. And that's how I was able to then finance my computer and bought a bunch of computers for people. I gave a lot of people my time, a lot of my time. I mean, I shared the wealth when I made the money. Lillian has a nice ass computer. Okay? I bought her and I even traveled to where she lived in Wisconsin to teach her how to do the website when I was doing that. All right? And so I financed my own gig and I shared the wealth. And I bought Stephanie a computer. I bought Beth the computer. So they had something, and I haven't heard from any of them, and that's fine. I'm not mad about it. They gave me their time, and that was their payback for their time, their support. I even worked with Kevin a lot. I gave so much time to people. Okay, a lot on the phone, in person, a lot. So I finance my own shit. And I'm not afraid to share the wealth with people. Because I couldn't have done it without them. So I don't need much. I don't expect my husband to support me in all those things. I find ways to support and invest in my own business type of thing. Even when I went to Portugal, it wasn't out of my husband's pocket. What's his name? I forget. Infinite Man, whatever his name. I forget. His name was Alex, but there's another name. I forget his name. But he's the one that paid for the plane ticket. And then we were in an Airbnb, and I paid, whatever, $100, $200 for that Airbnb in Portugal. And I paid for my meals out there in Portugal. But Alex was the one that, since I spoke at that event, wasn't a great speech, but whatever. That was funny. If that ever came out, I would laugh, because it was bad. It was so bad. But that's okay. That was a learning experience. Whatever. I could laugh at all of my foibles and however I was at the time. It just shows how far I've come, I guess. Okay, so that's the thing, is I financed all of my own gig. I had a GoFundMe account way a long time ago, and $30 is what came out of that. $30. And that was from some lady who's a singer. She's like, hey, I'll give you $30. Hey, thanks. Okay, so when you think about it, it really, it's the path to innovation isn't taking handouts from people. It's developing your own innovations. It's facing your own demons. That's where it's facing my dog's demons. That's where I'm getting all my ideas from. It's the fact that I'm actually in it. I'm dealing with it. I feel it. I see it. I have words for it. There's so much satisfaction when you can face your demons, when you don't need people. People are like, oh, you don't need people because you were neglected as a child. You had a bad mom. You did this and that. When a person depends on so many people out there, they can't fucking make it on their own out there. So when they're faced with something that is so catastrophically aggressive that somebody else and from a different background would survive it, they fold. Okay, so the fact that I pride myself in not needing handouts from everyone out there, I pride myself in the fact that I can do it on my own, even figuring out, this Photoshop thing and how to convert 300 DPI from this and that, finding the Pixabay photos so I can make that a cover and a back cover. I do my own illustrations, like one illustration, two illustrations in the book, which is basically, from Word. And I didn't need anyone to do any illustrations. I didn't need anyone to do any cover art for me. I did this on my own. I figured out the resources and I did it on my own. That's a source of pride, when you could do shit on your own. And that when you absolutely when you need someone like the utility company to give you water, okay, fine. I need the utility company to give me water. I need the electricians to give me electricity. That's when I depend upon it. But it was when I can't build my own house. I can't plumb my own plumbing sometimes. So if everything happens to my husband and I have a plumbing issue, I'm going to have to call a plumber. Do I really want to go and knock out walls to go and find the plumbing, figure out what's wrong with it? I can fix a toilet, like in the thing, figure out there's weaknesses, but could I actually install a new plumbing thing? I'm sure I could learn, but it just depends on what I'm willing to put what I'm willing to, what it's worth it to me. If it's worth it to me to go and do that, then fine, I'll do it. But that's a source of pride, is when you don't need people. Because let me tell you, something happened where I had, if I lost all my clothes, I do. I go to Goodwill and go buy a $5 pair of pants. If I don't have any money, then I guess I'll go to the Salvation Army and wear all the Salvation Army and go to what is it, Red Cross and the Salvation Army, and go wear all those clothes. I've taken people's hand-me-downs. They've given me their hand-me-downs. They give me a whole bag from this girl that she lives in a different part of town. And they're all like, millennial clothes. They were nice. And I instead of me shopping, I just took her hand-me-downs. I have no problem taking someone's secondhand clothes. No problem. And that's the thing is that there are places out there. If I was in that situation. But I don't want to depend on my community to give me everything. I really don't. Because then they will expect you to give to them when they are in need. Oh, but what's wrong with that? Because then you cannibalize each other. Because the needs become more and more as you decline. See, that's where it starts. It's like, you need something now. It's a little need. Okay, great. That's like, there's a little weakness. There's a little weakness in the foundation. Okay, so you plug it with a little bit of glue. No big deal. But the crack gets bigger. The crack gets bigger. And the foundation, oh my God. And so then the need to fix is even bigger and bigger and bigger. And so what have you started? You started a major, holy shit, you started a dependency. And now you're raising a family. Now you're raising somebody else. Because when you're evolving and you don't need as much as other people and they need so much more, that's where things get lopsided. It's great when people are at the same level and they're both declining together and they both can cannibalize each other. Fine, great, cannibalize. But when someone is evolving and they don't need as much from the society out there or from their friends and family, and their friends and family need so much from you, then you're like, I can't afford to fucking raise you and your needs and all of your wants and bail you out of your situations when I have my own shit to deal with. And that's when you realize what the friendships are based upon, is how much can you fulfill their needs, whatever they are. I don't care what it is. So then I'm like, I'm done. It's expensive having friends. It really is. Like close friends. Acquaintances are fine, hang out together occasionally, have a drink here and there. Okay, great. But when it becomes like, oh, I need this from you, I need that from you, oh, I have this big, huge thing that I have to get done, and I can't afford to pay someone, so can you go and give me your blood, sweat, and tears to do it for me? And I don't want to do that to my friends, to my acquaintances, to anyone. I don't want to take their protein resources, their hard-earned money, their time, because to give you something that you want as an extra. No, that's no. And so, and that's why I say, husband, if you want something moved, we're going to hire a mover. We're not going to we're not going to have all of our friends come over and move us. Hire a fucking mover if you're going to move. If you want a big awning and you want to put up this and put up that and you can't do it yourself, there's plenty of contractors out there or someone you can hire for 20, 30, 40 bucks an hour to help you put something up, and you've paid for their services, and you're not now potentially harming your friend or family who could hurt themselves on the job. And that's how I see shit. I don't want my husband working for everybody out there, though he would work for everybody that he wants to work for free. Not work for money, no, for free. But sometimes he doesn't, because it's just, he can only do so much. He has to fucking go and throw fucking chains and throw steel stuff and drive a truck. He doesn't want to be working for other people and all their fucking wants and needs because they can't afford their fucking lifestyle. And so, no, I don't want to take help from other people, because it will be taken advantage of when the roles get reversed. So then I live within my means, or I hire somebody. And that doesn't win me great reviews, because friendships in California was about, oh, you buy a big present during all the different, holidays or birthdays, or you throw someone a party. When you throw someone a party in a friendship, that means you care about them. But when you don't throw them a party, then you're like, oh, well, they don't care about me if they're not throwing me a party for my birthday or for my this or for my that. In Christmas, back a long time ago with my mom, I used to go and buy her all these expensive gifts because I felt like I had to pay back for being the most, hard kid to raise. So I was buying her expensive gifts for Christmas. I would find the most unique gifts, and she'd be like, oh. And then she would sometimes buy me little things here and there. I'm like, okay, whatever. And it became ridiculous. It became ridiculous. And she's like, okay, no more presents, because it's fucking ridiculous. And then you see the value. Then you look at and reevaluate friendships and acquaintances. It's not about material shit. It's not about what they can do for you because you can't do it. It's, what is friendship? To listen to their problems and be what? Be this empty vessel and be filled up with someone's stress? Fuck. Or is it about evolving together? I don't say lifting each other up, because what the fuck does that mean? Evolving together, representing that we can keep surviving hardships. And we could do it on our own. We don't have to be a savior to anyone. We can invent, create, and develop new skills and new abilities, and just keep developing and keep creating and keep developing and creating and evolving. And if we happen to be on the same page around something, then we collaborate on something on an equal level, great. But it's been very difficult to collaborate with people out there, because the levels have been really, the closest with Audrey and John. That's the closest collaboration, where we were actually kind of on an equal playing field, when you think about it, as far as where we were at the time, and still are. We may have different physiological manifestations at different points, but mentally, you guys fucking get me. Audrey and John, you both get me. And you're both very fucking different too. Extremely different. But you get me. And it took 6 years. It took 6 years and countless people that I've been working with to finally find a nice collaboration that wasn't full of expectation. And I acknowledge you in my book, because I appreciate that. And so when you have something to write down the road, I will promote you with whatever it is that you're doing. Okay? That's what I think friendship is. That to me is friendship, is when you have your own world and you're taking care of yourself and your needs, and you have something intellectually evolutionary to help me move forward. That's a major, amazing relationship that we can evolve together, but in different ways. And we still fucking get each other. And we don't expect anything from each other. When you drop off the scene, I'm not going like, where the fuck are you? No, you do your thing. When you're in the scene, great, I appreciate it. But sometimes I drop out of the scene and I'm like, hey, I need to drop out of the scene. Just leave me the fuck alone. And you guys did when I was going through last summer. It was fucking insane. I was like, fuck everything right now. I got to take care of myself. And no one was really bothering me when you think about it. People were like, wow, where the hell did you go? I was dealing with the Kraken. But that to me is respect, evolution. That's friendship to me. That I can now probably visit certain people out there. And we'd be on the same level. And I wouldn't be afraid that, oh my God, do they need something from me? Do they want something from me? That's equal. So yeah, I mean, I had to reevaluate a lot of stuff. So that's the thing is that we are now reevaluating relationships in this next world with the JJ world. And you take away your politics, your religion, your scientific dogmas, and you are evolving each other. And we're going through all of our own different awakenings. And we all have different focuses too. And it's fine. But we somehow have a common ground. And we understand what's going on. Okay? I mean, you're not trying to be a mirror image of me. You have your own shit, but you also get me on a very separate level. And you can articulate it. And you have. And you've helped propel me forward in figuring shit out. And that's priceless. John, what you've contributed is priceless. Audrey, what you contributed is priceless. And those of you that have given me some of your testimonies and understood where I was going, priceless. But intellectually is what I'm trying to evolve. Intellectually. Because the body will fluctuate. But the brain can always evolve. And when you evolve your brain, the body will follow. And then your life will have a very interesting outcome. All right, bye.